Morning, welcome. My name is Perry Malm. What I'm not going to talk to you about today is email marketing. What I am going to talk to you about today is something that's really cool, and it's the most revolutionary thing to happen in publishing or within the whole online marketing sphere since paid search. And if you guys haven't heard about this yet, then you'll hear about it here the first time. Don't forget where you heard about it from. All right, so here's some stuff about me. You don't really care. What you want to hear is what I'm talking about. But first, I want to show you that I'm actually kind of a big deal. So did anybody get this brochure from the Publishing Expo? Well, I'm just saying, if this whole email marketing thing doesn't work out, I've got a great future in stock photography. Look at that. You can get it on iStock Photo now, I think. What's annoying about this is that I had to break out a different outfit today, because that's my trade show jacket, and I didn't want to, let you guys know what I was going to wear, so it's kind of a bummer. All right, so I'm going to give you a brief history about what email actually is, because most people go like, email, it's revolutionized the world. Email is fantastic. It's changed everything in the history of mankind. And I think that that's a load of BS. I think that it hasn't. All right, so does anybody know what that is? It's a steamship, right? So back, like 150 years, if you wanted to get a letter from London to New York, you would have to send it by steamship. And that would take about 7 days. 7 days is a long time. Imagine now that if you had to send a note to New York and it took 7 days, that would be nuts, right? So then a revolutionary thing happened. Does anybody know what this is? It's a telegraph. Great. I was going to make a snide comment about the education system in Britain for a second there, but I'm not going to now. You've just saved your entire nation's reputation. Fantastic. So when the telegraph machine came out, it reduced 7 days to 7 seconds. So what used to take 7 days is now 7 seconds. That's revolutionary. That's a huge change in human communication. So then came this. Does anybody over 30 remember what this is? It's called a fax machine. You used to have to dial things and it would send pages. We don't even have a fax machine these days because, we're cool like that. So the fax machine took it from 7 seconds down to a couple seconds, and you could now send pretty pictures and, stuff like that. So then came email. We all know email. It took it from, 2 seconds with the fax machine to half a second, say, with email. Now, the reason why I don't think email was actually a revolutionary channel is because the steamship going to the telegraph, in terms of the reduction of time, was much more intense. Going from 7 seconds down to half a second isn't that big a change. So now we got WhatsApp and stuff like that, just got bought for a stupid $1 million, whatever. And this takes it from half a second to like 0.25 seconds. It's not that big a change. So this is why I'm not going to talk to you about email, because email is just kind of standard now. We all know what email does. I'm going to talk to you about something else. But first, just to give you an idea about how much email has become a fabric of the internet. When people talk about WhatsApp and Snapchat and all of this stuff, right? What they don't realize is that the killer app on the internet is actually email. So I borrowed this slide from a friend of mine called Dave at Live Intent. I'm going to talk more about Live Intent in a couple minutes. If you guys haven't heard about them, you'll hear about them here first. So in 1 second, you get 463 Instagrams, 833 Tumblr posts, 1,000 Skype calls, 4,000 tweets, 11,000 Dropbox uploads, 33,000 Google searches, 46,000 YouTube views, 52,000 Facebook likes, and 1.6 million emails. That's a load of email, right? Email has become the fabric of the internet. I'm going to talk about that more in just a second. But first of all, I want to show you a super scientific bit of research which we undertook recently. Thank you, Microsoft Paint, for making this slide possible. So we asked 30 people, seriously a statistically robust sample, about what online channel gives the most ROI, and luckily email won. So, I kind of work in the right industry. All right, so there's one thing that nobody is talking about right now. They're all talking about social media. They're all talking about WhatsApp, about email, about, user experience optimization, stuff like that. But there's something else that's really important, and it's actually a huge, huge deal. It's called custom audiences. Has anybody heard about custom audiences? Custom audiences are the most revolutionary online ad channel since paid search. I'm going to explain why right now. All right, so the future of email. Here are my 3 email addresses that I use on a regular basis. The third one is my fan address for Miley Cyrus. So the first one actually is the most important one, perrymalm@gmail.com, right? I've had that for about 10 years. In that 10 years time, a lot of my life has changed. I've lived in 3 different countries. I've had, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff happen. I've communicated with lots of people. I've gotten jobs through it. I've lost jobs through it. That one is a funny story, actually. But there's lots of stuff. So what it means is that this email address is part of me. So I use it to log into Facebook. I use it to log into Twitter. I use it to log into LinkedIn. I use it to log into everything. If you guys have websites, I bet I use it to log into your websites, right? So what this means is that your email is effectively your digital passport. So it's just like if you go on a road trip to France and you go through customs, you have to show your passport. That's the only way you get into France. Without a passport, you can't leave the British Isles. Without your email address, you don't exist as a digital citizen. Now, previously what happened is people were simply communicating with each other either via email or via social, and they were mutually exclusive. You know, in the Venn diagram of the internet, the 2 circles didn't really intersect. Whereas with custom audiences, they do now. It's the first time that you've been able to use this whole concept of your digital passport to be communicated with across the internet. Now, just think about it. Everybody in your customer base has an email address, every single one. And I bet all of them have a Facebook account, a lot of them have a Twitter account, a lot of them have a LinkedIn account. It's huge, right? It's the only thing that connects people across these disparate channels. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk you through what I think your advertisers are doing right now with their marketing, and also what you guys are doing right now with your marketing, and where I hope all of your advertisers and all of you get by 2015. All right, so this is marketing in 2014. Welcome 2014, yay. All right, so what you do is you start a campaign out by sending out an email, right? Great. Email works, don't get me wrong, you know, 30 out of 32 people said it was excellent or whatever, so it's great. So then you tweet something. Because we all know that Twitter is kind of this weird thing where it's just a completely transient channel. Right? You follow, say, 200 people on Twitter. You follow 300 people on Twitter. And then when it comes out, if you aren't there at that exact second, if your customer is not there at the exact second that you tweet something, you've lost them. So it's a completely disparate channel. From an awareness standpoint, from a buzz standpoint, it's okay. All right, so then you do it again, right? And this is what I find really funny about email marketing, is that on average, you'll get, what, 18% opens. Fantastic. And people focus on going from 18 to 19% opens, because that's such a huge increase. I mean, well done, right? What they don't focus on are the 82% of people who aren't reading your crap. There's 82% of people on your list who are not opening stuff, and nobody really focuses on them. People do this sort of, you know, let's do a re-engagement campaign, which, you know, you get a 5% uplift on. Well, great. Now you've gone from 18 to 18.5. I mean, fantastic. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're the world's greatest online marketer in the history of time. This is one of the depressing things about being an email marketer. Even if you're excellent, you're still mediocre. Right? So then, at the end of the year, you have a Christmas party, you get a bit drunk and you go, this year was okay. I did an adequate job. I'd like to give myself a round of applause for being thoroughly mediocre. Thank you very much. All right, so things are changing now, and it's all centered around custom audiences. This whole thing where a lot of experts are saying how marketing has fundamentally changed, how it's no longer about, you know, the basic tenets of consumer behavior. Everything's changed with social media and with all of this stuff, and I think that's a load of BS. The thing is, human behavior, consumer behavior, is fundamentally the same now as it was 100 years ago. People follow distinct buying cycles. And what you have to do in the online sphere is to make sure that your marketing cycles match up to those buying cycles. And this is fundamental. So, custom audiences, let me explain what they are. This is where you take a list of emails, you upload them into Facebook or Twitter or Live Intent, and then you only target those people. So who's done Facebook advertising before? Right, and it kind of works. You do sort of broad demographic-based ad buys, or you do sort of, you know, like CPM-based buys based upon if somebody likes something, because, you know, if somebody clicks a button, that little thumbs up, then it means that they're really passionate about something, right? I mean, you know, I'm passionate about Trading Places. It's actually the only thing I like on Facebook. Fantastic movie. But the thing is, right, it doesn't really matter. It's not a good way of ad buying. A much better way is knowing where somebody is in their buying cycle with you, and then pre-targeting, targeting, and then post-targeting. So previously, the only way that you could retarget people was using a cookie-based mechanism, where if somebody came to your site and then left, you can retarget them. But that presumes that they're coming to your site. Now, if 82% of people aren't clicking on your emails, most of them are not coming to your site. So retargeting actually fits a really small pool of people. Cookie-based retargeting fits a small group of people. And it does work, don't get me wrong. It can work in the right context, but it's not going to break the bank. It's going to take you from 1% conversions to 1.2% conversions. You know, congratulations on mediocrity. So with custom audiences, what you can do is you can start out a cycle like this. All right, so what you do is you take your email list, everybody, and you upload them into all of the relevant social channels. Let me explain what Live Intent is really quick. Has anybody heard about Live Intent? It's liveintent.com, very cool company. They just got $20 million in funding, and I'm really jealous of them. What they do is they've created an email newsletter advertising network. So it's just like how you would do display media buys on the Google Display Network or through some sort of display network like that. It's the same concept, but within email newsletters. Now, what this means is you can upload a custom audience to Live Intent and only target those people with ads in third-party newsletters. So if you get the New York Times daily newsletter, your ads could appear in there only to the people who are already on your list. So instead of wasting money on disparate, untargeted ad buys, you're only hitting people who are already connected with you. It's the same with Facebook, and it's the same with Twitter. Twitter call it tailored audiences just because they like to be different. So what you do is you bid hard on CPM. You get people up, you pre-market them, you build awareness hugely. You build a little bit of interest. You really go after them on a huge CPM model. This is how you start a campaign in 2015. So then you send out a number of sales emails. Because emails, from a sales standpoint, from a conversion standpoint, are second to none in terms of channel effectiveness. But as far as an attention generator, it's not the most effective channel. So what you're doing, you're taking people through their behavioral cycle. You're starting off by building awareness, bidding hard on social channels, on Live Intent, on display channels, bidding hard on CPM, and then once people are warmed up, you go in for the more acquisitive email approach, which is what email is built for. Fantastic. You can do a bunch of email stuff too, test subject lines, blah, 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 but I promise I wouldn't talk about email marketing. So then you remarket them, because you know at this stage what point people are in the buying cycle. You know if they've clicked, you know if they've opened, you know if they've been to the website, if they've converted. You know, you have all of these different branches that come off. So then you retarget them. Instead of cookie-based, you retarget them about their actual stage in the buying cycle. So if somebody has just bought something, you retarget them with an upsales message. If somebody didn't open, you retarget them with you continue on with the awareness message. If somebody opened and didn't click, you retarget them with an offer or something like that. There's a huge amount of use cases here, and it all depends on your customer's exact buying cycle. Fantastic. So then your end of year party comes, and this is what happens because you guys are no longer mediocre, you're excellent marketers, right? It's fantastic. So with you guys being publishers, there's one more opportunity here that nobody is really doing yet. What you guys have is audience. You guys have huge audiences. You guys, each of you here has a huge email list. Now, the way that you sell online right now is you probably sell display ads in your newsletter. You probably sell some sort of lead generation, white paper type stuff, and your advertisers probably kind of buy it, although the digital ad sell is really hard, and the margins, despite it having a low cost distribution mechanism, is actually quite a low margin because it's hard to sell, so it takes a lot of time. So what you can start doing is you can start selling your audience on these disparate channels. What you have, say you have a list of 200,000 people. You also have a list of 200,000 Facebook accounts, because you have their digital passport. So you can start selling your advertisers access to your audience through these third-party channels. Now this is revolutionary. Previously, when you did ad sales, all you would sell would be access to your own little world. You would sell banner ads within your newsletter, or banner ads on your website, or this stuff, but only within your world, only to the 18% of people who open your newsletters. What you can do now is you can extend that ad sales offer out exponentially, and you can start offering targeting to people who are on your lists in Facebook, in Twitter, in Live Intent. Now, this is where publishing online ad sales are going. What you're selling is audience. What you're not selling is a brand. You have that audience, and now you have a way to connect them across all of these disparate platforms using that key digital passport. Now, the main problem here is, from an ad sales standpoint, it's kind of a new concept, and it's hard to actually explain it. And a lot of advertisers right now, and a lot of ad salespeople don't get it. So I think 2014, it's not really going to take off. There's going to be a little bit of dabbling, but it hasn't reached a tipping point yet. Once it does, everybody in publishing, everybody in events, everybody whose business is audience is going to be selling through these disparate ad channels, because this is where the future is. All right, so here's a bunch of contact stuff about me. You can tweet about me, because that's what the kids do. You can retarget me on Twitter. I mean, whatever. It's fine. So let me leave you with a final thought, yeah? Publishing in the last few years has changed dramatically. If you guys work in publishing, and I assume you do, or else you're in the wrong show. So the last few years have been crazy. It's been a real shift towards digital. Some people get it, some people don't. I mean, I'm sure you've all spent money developing apps. I'm sure you've all spent money developing, tablet editions, stuff like that. And that stuff does fundamentally matter. It certainly does. But what I hope you do in 2014 and beyond is you start realizing that you're not a publisher. You're an owner of an audience. And using custom audiences, what you can do is you can monetize this audience across channels that were previously closed to you. This is the most fundamental, transformational change in online marketing since paid search. And I hope you all start doing it. Thanks a lot. Questions? Sounds like a no. Oh, there's a question. Right, so the question was about how this works within a B2B environment, and you're absolutely right. Most people, unless they're extreme losers, wouldn't log into Facebook with their work address. If anybody does, I didn't mean to personally offend you, but it's just kind of weird. I mean, who actually does that? Or Twitter, for that matter. LinkedIn, unfortunately, they have a different business model than Facebook and Twitter. Facebook and Twitter are purely ad-based. LinkedIn is subscription-based, so they're closing things off to a certain extent. So unfortunately, there's nothing like this within LinkedIn right now. I wouldn't be surprised if there is in the next sort of 18 months or so. I think live intent would be a great solution for you guys. The reason being is live intent, you can then target things in third-party newsletters. So what you're doing is you're basically using somebody else's audience to target your audience, which is absolutely mind-bogglingly smart, but it's kind of hard to understand. Now, one more thing, actually, from a publishing standpoint that you can do with live intent, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't work for live intent. I just think it's a fantastic concept. It's intellectually stimulating. So one more thing you can do is you can actually put live intent-powered ads within your e-newsletters. So I bet that if you guys have e-newsletters, you probably sell the ads about half the time, and half the time you fill it with house ads or with just sort of like freebies that you chuck into offline advertisers. This is a way of overcoming that and making sure that you always are getting some money for ads served within your newsletters, right? So basically then, for every impression that you serve, which wasn't an ad rendered by your own ad sales, you can then have it powered through the live intent network and get, some level of CPM off the back of it. So anyways, yeah, I should really work for them, shouldn't I?